Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim, your Dr. Finance, and this week we're going to talk about irrational CEOs and alternative data, right? We're going through behavioral corporate finance. Remember, in behavioral corporate finance, we have two different approaches. The first approach is putting the CEOs, rational CEOs, right? But the investors may be irrational. They may go crazy about, metaverse, bubble. And then what does this rational CEO do to make best use of it and then maximize his wealth? Well, change your company name. Put your Meta company name into your company name, right? Meta. Oh, the Facebook, isn't it something they're doing? Yeah, partly right. But what I'm saying is that even some guys in the CEOs, they don't change the company's business structure in a meaningful way, but they may just switch their company name superficially and then entertain those crazy investors. That's the first approach. Second approach is irrational CEOs plus rational investors. Okay? Why don't you talk about both sides crazy? We don't model crazy market, right? That's just crazy one. Goes everywhere. But here, just for simplicity's sake, irrational CEOs plus rational investors framework. And pioneered, the thing I'm trying to say here is that this is the research area that I really have been working on. And then this area, the researchers in academia have pioneered very courageously, pioneered about the using alternative data that the conventional finance guys, like snobbish finance researchers and economists, they ignored this kind of alternative, burgeoning alternative data. But we are the ones who pioneered, took the risk of doing it, okay? And then very successful. And then it was a very, very interesting and sexy area just popping up, right? And then practically, right? Application to the practical world. Well, you can apply those things in FinTech. Whatever we find, almost all the things that we find about the CEO's biological, biometric data and things like that, you can think about applying it to retail investors as well, right? You may wonder, isn't there some selection bias and survivorship bias to be a CEO? And whatever you find with the biometric data of the CEOs may be subject to that, those biases. But usually our setting over here, our empirical testing, right? We try everything possible to steer clear of those survivorship bias or selection biases. Of course, for example, if you're looking at the CEOs for big companies versus small companies, we control for company size and things like that. But the very nature that CEO versus non-CEO, that's something we cannot do it because we don't have the data of retail investors. But think about it, the CEOs and yourself, okay? We have two eyes, one mouth and one nose, 2 ears. And biologically, we are human beings, right? We are governed by our hormones and then all these psychologies, as well as the brain, heart. We are the same human being. So largely, it may still hold true. And those testing with retail data, that's something I cannot do it as an academic researcher because those retail data is preserved firmly by those banks in the private sector. They don't open up their data. They just sit on those huge amount of data, not knowing what to do with this. Maybe they are internally doing research, following what's going on over there. Kakao, right? Or 다음소ft kind of guys. But they don't disclose it. That's a problem. We need academic and practitioners cooperation, 산학협동, but they don't do it. That's a limitation. But by and by, we are exploring into that part. Okay, so that's something worth investigating later on. Anyway, at least those findings that I'm going to talk about in this week and next week, that's going to give you some great ideas about what you could do if you develop your own fintech company services, or if you go into the data department of the banks or investment banks or whatever company, insurance companies or things like that. So let's go. As a starting point, let me tell you the experience of our undergraduate students in SKKU GBA, right? Several students, right, told me before that they were, what is it? Nah, come on. Yeah. They are scheduled to do an interview with Morgan Stanley, Hong Kong. And if you think about the geographical distance, right? Especially the pandemic situation, how could they do interview with Morgan Stanley, given that they are staying in Korea, and then those air traffic is forbidden during those pandemic situations? How? But they were doing the AI interviews in distant ways, right? All they had to do was open up your laptop in Korea, Seoul, and then follow the instruction and then do as they wanted to do, right? Answer the questions. They do interviews in Korea with their laptop cameras on. They solve some questions company brought. The company's AI machine analyzes the facial expression, voice pitch, and any possible information they can capture with the video interview results, right? Sometimes you have to expect that, right? Their lie detection machine must be going on, right? So that anything like facial expression or voice pitch changing that is consistent with lie detection machine, something awkward happens, then it will ring their bell. Something must be wrong with this guy. That can happen behind the cameras, right? And then, having said that, those interview skills, right, is getting much more important. And then, what I suggest to you, okay, you need a microphone that is high quality enough, right? I told you before, I guess, headset is good. Make sure it has a microphone separately like this, right? Gaming microphone, that's good. 5만 원, like $50 US worth, 50, right? Don't go for $1 million things, right? But $50 is something you can afford, I guess. Microphone, or this guy, right? Blue Yeti kind of things. I don't get any, advertisement from these guys, but I realize this is a high quality one. So you will like it, and then adjust your gains. Gain means like how sensitive they are to capture your voice. So if I increase the gain like this, whatever small voice I say over here will be captured over there. If I switch it to there, they would not capture it too much, right? So gain, I usually set it this way. And then Blue Yeti, this is too heavy maybe sometimes, but it frees up your hand so that you can do natural hand gesture with it, right? And then move, right, a little bit. And dance maybe if they ask you to do it, right? And then headphone, this is also good. But what I warn you is that if you use a headphone, right, don't use the microphone on your string over here, because if it is microphone stays over there, you forget that the microphone is too far away, and then that brings a trouble. They cannot listen to you too much. Even though you say la la la, the other side guys will be like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And then number two, to bring the microphone closer to your mouth, your hand gesture will be unnatural. Your body language will be like squishy, like less of a confidence, right? Or saying like this, unnatural. So make sure the microphone is over here, close enough, and then you don't have to worry about that. Your hands are free, and whatever distance you do. Even doing the interviews like this is great. The issue is freeing up your hand and then your gestures and body language, being more confident, because they want to hire confident people. I'm going to talk to you about why they want overconfident people than underconfident or diffident guys, right? Or completely rational guys, right? They need somebody irrational, a little bit. I'm going to talk about it later, so wait for that part. Okay, is this a finance class or, overall job search class? It doesn't matter. This is a business school education anyway. I want you to be successful in your career. That's why. And then sometimes, right? Oh yeah, the AI-based interview, right? Higher View is a US-based company that specializes on this kind of services and software. Midas IT is the one in Korea as well. And then one friend of mine got a job, right? Used to work for Tencent, and then now he's working for this kind of AI-based headhunter companies as a chief technology officer. Guess what they are doing? Looking at your face, looking at your voice pitch, the digital analysis. They are, that's what's going on. Okay. Anyway, for understanding the CEO's psychological traits or the irrationality, right? How does the traits of the CEO affect the company's policies and the strategic directions and that kind of things, right? We call it upper echelon theory, 윗동네 이론 kind of things. In my, this is my Korean translation. 윗동네는 어떡하지? It's like a uptown over there, right? The top level guys, whatever they do influences the rest of them. There's a trickling down effect, cascading down effect coming from the top leaders, right? And the organization, we are the followers, and we look at the guys in top and then follow his or her behavior. Okay? Heavily influenced. The influence of top level leaders in any organization is tremendous. Companies, countries, and schools, etc. If you look at USA, America, if you think about the president, Obama, Trump, and Biden, as the president changes, right? The people's behavior were changing, getting affected by that. And then the whole country's direction was like tilting very different direction. Okay? Oh, isn't it rational, right? A rational decision made by the whole group of the countrymen, right? The people, and rationally determined. And then chose the CEO with such and such character because they needed such a direction. Partly right, but not all. Not all. And then as you get work experience, you will learn that how the company works changes significantly depending on the trait of the leaders. Even in the university, right? Who is the president and who is the dean? This kind of things affects the whole university or the department very much, right? If the guy is more like outgoing, the whole school is becoming more like expansive. And if the guy is more like an introvert, then the whole school becomes more like let's keep the status quo and make sure everything is okay. Vice versa, going back and forth like that. Okay? There is a human trait that is affecting the direction of the organization, especially the top guys. Trump, crazy. And crazy guys, subsequently, right? We had enough of them. Irrational CEOs. Well, neoclassical economics, they say what? CEO is just another easily replaceable input of production function. If you remember Cobb-Douglas production function in your economics basics, microeconomics basics, right? What was the production function about? Well, you have two kinds of input in production, right? What was it? Labor and capital, L and K, right? And then there was a productivity coefficient over there. That was basically it, right? Labor and capital. CEO is one of the labor input. You can just replace that robot with anybody else. Oh, is that so? Oh, hope that is right. But behavioral finance guys say what? Using big data, we now test and see that unique characteristics of the CEO matter. And CEOs matter, and they are not easily replaceable, right? Steve Jobs, gone. And then Tim Cook, thank God, replaced, but at the moment of transition, it was huge uncertainty. And then Tim Cook's character is a lot different from the Steve Jobs, right? What about Elon Musk? Holy cow. Holy cow. And then Lee Jae-yong versus, other guys, Kwon Oh-hyun in Samsung Electronics, or AMD Lisa Su. Man, one CEO can make such a difference, right? We're thinking about Angela Merkel in Germany, right? Some of you are from Germany, right? Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen? Now you guys are facing those leadership changes. We sincerely hope that you guys, have as great as leader like Angela Merkel, right? Difficult to expect, right? The characteristic of the traits of the leaders affects the whole organization or the country, right? It was such a blessing for you guys to have those, Angela Merkel, right? Maybe you have a different opinion, but that's usual opinion that we have, I guess, right? In general public in Korea as well. Very respectable leaders. That's very lucky to have her, right? Anyway, and coming into Korea next year, we're gonna have a presidential election in March. A crazy world is, blowing off, right? So a lot of things you can apply these ideas to the political leaders as well. Don't think, right, that, this is CEO study only, so it will never apply to other organizational structures like politics or family or, whatever. That's your stereotype, your prejudice in your brain. Open up your mind. Be open-minded. Whatever we talk about the CEOs, readily applicable to other settings as well. The CEO of the country, whole leaders, right? Leadership study. So in that respect, my study overlaps with management strategy as well, because that's partly why my paper was published in the top strategy paper, organization science, right? Why? Because of this. Yeah. Neoclassical finance professors, they don't understand what the heck I'm doing. They're like, isn't it easily replaceable? Mathematically, everything is worked perfectly. And the character over there, easily replaceable? No, wake up. We can now quantify and show you. Okay, this is a wake-up call. Sometimes they are not even rational. That irrationality is one valid characteristics. Okay, and what kind of characteristics or traits do we care about? Well, here I take a step back, and then from Asian point of view, SKKU, right? Seonggyungwan is the oldest university in Asia, established in 1398. So we are proud to have that Asian tradition. And then here is the Asian traditional way of looking at the person when you are hiring or firing that person for a specific positions. What are those perspectives that we look at, or dimensions, right? Dimensions, right? We say 신언서판. 신언서판. I thought our younger generation Korean students also know well about these four Chinese characters, but my wife said, no. They must be new to this, right? They don't learn Chinese as much as our generation. Fine. But because this is Seonggyungwan University, I have to tell you, okay? 신언서판, right? That's Shin is like body. Shanti is Shan, right? Shin as like when you look at the people and then see if the guy fits for the CEO position or not. By the way, this also works for recruiting for rookie guys, right? When you are in the job market and doing interviews, what do they look at you? The dimensions, 신언서판, right? Shin is like appearances, how you look, okay? And then the body, how tall are you, okay? And then that in that respect, well, neoclassical finance guys say that doesn't matter. Anybody can serve in any position. They are just like a robot and one product that you can easily replace, like a machine. Money and incentive. That's all. If you want the guy to work hard, just give them more money as they do perform good, and then fire them if they don't perform well. That incentive will do everything for you. As long as they are rational, that kind of appearances doesn't matter. But behavioral finance researchers found out height matters. As it turns out, in the Scandinavian study, okay, people found out those guys serving for CEOs, leadership positions, they tend to be higher, taller, okay, taller. From their, teenage days, these guys tended to have some more leadership positions or had some more confidence, self-confidence in them. I'm taller than you. Don't worry. Like I'm a big brother kind of thing, ideas, right? So that these guys tend to be better leaders in later on. Some of you may say, oh, that's depressing, I'm short. But don't worry, this is just a part of the whole character. And previously we tried to ignore this kind of things completely, holding on to this neoclassical belief. But don't over ignore it, right? What we are saying is that these kind of biological traits has some meaning, significant, more than what we previously believed in the academia. And then facial masculinity, that's my area. And then facial expression, that's another part. That kind of expression, how you express yourself, right, matters. What's the atmosphere that you carry to the others, the counterparty, matters. This is one thing I had to tell you. During the Bain Consulting CEOs in the presentation last week, some of the students, you guys did a great job in asking questions and addressing those things, but some of the students were inexperienced and they did not know what to do with their body languages and things like that. And that matters a lot. How to give them some good impression, right? And then confident impression and body language. That matters so much, actually. That matters so much. That is especially more true if you're competing with equivalent ability competitors, right? If they're as smart as you are, then the guys over there want to hire the guys with showing more confidence, right? Natural confidence. And then the facial expression tells us a lot about it. So that's one thing. It's like a spoken language, right? Yuan. And then, right. And then neoclassical finance guys, they don't care about it, right? But behavioral finance guys, we found out the voice pitch matters, right? Voice pitch, masculine voice pitch versus feminine voice pitch matters a lot. And it tells a lot about the risk preference of the guy over there, right? And then overconfidence and narcissism and this kind of things. What you say, okay? Language is a mirror of the mind. Who said that? Leibniz, I told you, German scientist, right? And that kind of things. The text mining technique is being used, right? Automatic transcribing of what you say is being used these days. And every move you make, every word you say, they're going to quantify it. So you have to have, you need to train yourself very well in terms of business communication. Joseph Kim's class, take it. I told you, you have to take it. And then make it to your second nature, right? Isn't my quantitative mathematical skills, that's everything? They will realize that I am genius like the Einstein, right? And then as long as I am Einstein, they will hire me. Isn't that fair? Depending on the fairness, the definition of the fairness, okay? And we have to ask ourselves, are we Einstein? Nanga? Kind of things, right? I'm not. And then chances are you are not either, right? We are, ability-wise, we are always almost the same anyway. So in that respect, this kind of things also matter, okay? Soft skills. It's tremendously important, yet those existing business education fails to address this part. Why? Usually those professors are not trained in this way. I told you, the economists, neoclassically trained professors are the ones who are the major part of this business schools, not just at this one, but all around the world, right? That's quite common. But the thing is, this part, We need to train. We need to train you guys. Anyway, so that's that. 슈 or 서, 신원서판 서, 슈 is like a written language. So readability, how you how you write your reports, and then I'm in my essay questions, right? How you write your paragraph in better readable way. That matters a lot. Succinct and short and to the point, and bring your conclusion in the first sentence. That saves my time, reader's time, and you get better opportunities. Same thing, right? Corporate accounting report, readability matters. Remember throughout your life, okay? Oh, isn't the correct number? As long as I give them correct number, right? Correct answer. Shouldn't it be okay for my job or for the stock price? No, that's not enough. I'm not saying that you can bring wrong numbers. The competition is beyond that, okay? You need to bring a correct and perfect number. Anyway, your competitors are doing it already. What I'm saying is you have to deliver it in a succinct and readable way, more understandable way. So competition is endless, okay? So readability matters. And people found out in the big data that the better readable accounting reports, those companies get better stock price. Pan is like a 판단력. I don't know how to pronounce that in Chinese. Pan or something. That's IQ. It's not 쌍판떼기. It's like no. That's a good looking or whatever, but it's about your brightness in your brain. And Scandinavian researchers found out using Swedish data. They have IQ data of each and every individual, especially for guys, because their data is open, right? In very detail, how much you spent for your, how much you earn as a monthly salary. Everybody knows everybody else's. And then your IQs and things like that. That's there. And then they found out the CEOs, right? Better IQ'd CEOs, their Tobin's Q or the performance measure is better significantly. In a big data setting, they found out. So in this respect, the CEO's unique trait affect firms' value tremendously via corporate decision making. Now the question becomes, how can we measure those and then quantify it? So for that part, I'm going to talk about it in the next video. So thanks for watching until now. Bye. Bye-bye.